Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting episode of Your View. I am Murayo Afolabi Brand. As always, I never do this alone. I have a lovely co-host here. Hi ladies.
Good morning.
How was your weekend? I had a very energetic weekend. See how energized I am this morning.
You can see.
Nima, how was your weekend?
Very beautiful. I attended the prayers and
Yes.
this beautiful widow now, I pray that Allah continues to console her.
Amen.
And then my brother had
Can
his
she
baby.
remarry?
Of course she can.
That's not our issue.
That's the rule.
That's not our hot topic today.
Of course she can.
Moving on, please. Don't go about me.
So my brother and his family,
Right.
wife and child, came to see me over the weekend. Very exciting visit because my daughter could not resist carrying the baby. Fine girl.
Oh, that's
Thank
cool.
God, Sha.
Nice. Hi, Takwe. How was your weekend?
It was very interesting. And I mentioned in the makeup room that I tend to underestimate myself when it comes to hosting an event. I'll be like, Jumoke is the professional with hosting events. I'm a speaker. Tell me to come and speak on entrepreneurship, speak on motivation. But on Saturday, I was called to host the MDG Awards and Compassionate Prize. And as much as things were not as fluid as I expected it to be, I did a very good job, if I must say so myself, and I impressed myself.
Wow.
You know, and I am my worst critic because I tend to hold myself to this excellent standard whenever I see it, and I think I did a good job. And yesterday,
Fantastic.
I went for a birthday party. We had fun. It was an interesting weekend,
Yeah.
really interesting weekend for me.
Don't tell me you slept throughout this weekend. No. I hope you had
No.
activity.
Jumoke had a lot of activity.
What's up? Tell us what happened.
But I slept throughout yesterday.
What's up? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. You know, I usually have meetings every Saturday. So I was supposed to have my meeting and a presentation for 4 o'clock. I was going to drop by the MDG Awards and drop by your uncle's thing. I
Right.
couldn't make, all of those. Thank you, Mr. Chris Wonko. I saw the gift. And today we received pleasant surprises. Christmas has come in early to
Yeah,
TVC,
so-
Your View.
Yay,
We
thank
just,
you.
we just woke up this morning and somebody from Z Edge
Yes, you see.
sent us again 100 bees.
Oga,
We don't know
whoever you are.
God
Thank you.
bless.
As I was walking in and I saw those boxes, I was like, Jesus, if only these things could come to us. And I got into the makeup room, they asked me for my car key. Hey, Oga, God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
God bless
So that was a pleasant surprise this morning.
How would
Fantastic.
you see the content of the box?
Ah,
God
I had a
bless
very
you
busy
very
weekend
much.
to myself. I mean, all Saturday, I was going from the burial to a wedding. I came back to the burial, was party. Lagos party trust me, they never disappoint you. Everything you want is there.
Those are people.
Then,
Burial.
goodness. Some burial that was supposed to be sad, though. People were there
They were
dancing.
eating.
They're asking me to dance. I can't dance.
The crates of
Uncle
glass
Jonathan, I can't
cups that
dance.
were
What kind of
rolling in,
dancing?
and
You know?
gallons that were coming
Yeah.
in.
And Sunday
Caterers
was-
walking around. I
Sunday
said,
was
burial.
great. I heard about this Multina thing that happened. I wanted to go there, Mix Fest, but I didn't realize I had to register prayer. So one woman wanted to charge me 8,000 naira per child. I said, no, what? I'll carry them to the mall. Thank you very much. I just carried the kids to the mall.
Talking about
I had
carrying
fun.
them to somewhere. I saw your husband carrying them to school this morning.
Yes, so he does mornings, I do afternoons.
Nice,
All
well
right,
done.
let's take a break now. Today is Universal Child's Day, so we do that to promote international togetherness awareness amongst children worldwide. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, let's start with the punch. Obaze rejects Obiano's victory in Anambra governorship poll. My triumph is for Anambra people, says the governor. PDP chair Fayose seeks shadow election for Southwest aspirants. Protest rocks Lagos community as policeman drowns tricycle rider. Lamido's group dismisses Buhari's government as disaster. Defiant Mugabe says he'll preside over party congress in December. Restructuring Southern senators to hold conference. BVN banks frustrating anti-corruption wall. Federal government AGF tells court. And NNPC Chevron signed final phase of $1.7 billion deal. Let's talk about Anambra.
Human angle.
The human angle,
Yes,
yeah.
so this young man who was drowned by the policeman, according to the report, he was suspected to be a traffic robber, and the police trailed him to his community, Sherry, in Lagos here. And, in the course of the altercation between them, they beat him up. He ran towards the river, and they watched him jump in the river. Now, his wife's account was that she got to the police station, having heard that her husband was, he didn't return home after he went out to buy food for their little daughter, that she mentioned her name in the paper. But, she went to the police station to report it. someone said, they had beaten some people. The police were in the environment the day before. So she went to the bank of the river and met and saw his clothes there. Went to the police station to find out whether he was among those arrested. The police said they didn't arrest him. While she was there, another one came in. And that one of them,
one stubborn
one, we beat him. And, we drowned him in the river.
Ew.
And, that for her was more than enough shock. The police account was different. Hers was different. But I want this investigated.
Right.
Because, this kind, the cops had evidence of that amount of beating on him.
Right.
Whatever the reason, whatever kind of suspicion, he should have been arrested peacefully.
Exactly, not drowned.
Peacefully,
Or
not
chased.
drowned.
Right. Yes,
You've always asked that, what is the procedure for arrest? So if somebody is even confirmed that he is a murderer, he's killed someone, what should you do? Not that you kill him and not give him opportunity to defend himself.
The rule is that if you must use arm, you shoot not to target to kill, but to stop, to disarm.
Let's talk about, is there another? No, check that one in Nation.
Should we take Mugabe?
Mugabe, let's talk about Mugabe.
So Mugabe has been trending. That's the president of Zimbabwe, has been trending since last week when the military took over in a sort of coup attempt, but there's not a complete coup, because what they wanted to do was to get him to peacefully step down as being the president of Zimbabwe. Yesterday, there was a congress held by his party where he was voted out of being the head of the party. And he was expected to, he's been given a deadline to resign by
Monday noon today.
So we're waiting for that. But he gave a press conference yesterday saying that he was still going to preside over the party conference by December. My take on this, personal opinion quickly, is that we've seen for the first time, and I've been watching both Western media and Nigerian media, the expectation of violence, that they were thinking it would degenerate to a case of there's shooting and no shooting. This is unusual. Right. They have a strong democratic system there, where even though they want him out, they still want to follow the procedure. Right. As a country, we need to imbibe that. If Zimbabwe, at 37 years, even after having one president, is strong enough in culture not to just vote him out or send him out. They want an honorable exit.
That's
democracy
fantastic.
Is that they can impeach him. Sure,
let's move on.
But the amount of people who came out for a protest over the weekend was
he's pretty popular. People like him, actually.
No, but there was no counter-protest. In Nigeria, you'd have seen counter-protest.
Let's move on to the Nation. BVN, as our headline. Government accuses CBN banks of shielding rogues. Mugabe Adamang talked about that. Ex-PDP chair's son's wife stabs him to death.
Whoa.
Obiano re-elected. FIFA draw delays Eagles 3 Lions tie. Let's talk about the human angle and then we can take the major headline.
I want to take the major headline quickly, where the federal government is accusing banks, of shielding rogues, because banks have gone to the court to ask for a stay of transfer of funds from accounts that do not have BVN, and there are 46 million of them. Now, the banks are saying, no, that isn't true. We're not shielding rogues. This policy, we started it, in fact, because it was to our benefit that somebody does not open bank Nima, take a loan and run away and come to bank. It was to our benefit. So it's not like we're shielding rogues, but it's also not constitutional and right for you to take the monies of everybody whose account does not have BVN.
Okay. All right. The human angle, the young man that was stabbed to death.
Bill Yamin, what's his name again? Was stabbed by his wife, allegedly stabbed by his wife twice in the heart and in the neck. They had an altercation on suspicion of cheating on her, and she had an history of, being violent with him. Her name is Sanders. She's also a politically exposed daughter. I think it was a marriage of convenience, sort of. And both of them.
She actually, as you said, she once beat her husband's ear off.
Yes.
And he
was advised not to go back into that marriage, but he went back on allegations of cheating. The woman stabbed her husband multiple times to death. Wow. And so this is not the first time or the second time. And we've always said it, please, let's learn our lessons. If there is risk of your life being lost, step aside. Out of that.
Marry the right person.
Moving on now to Daily Sun.
What is that notion?
That person is not written on their forehead, trust me.
Marry the right
Daily
person.
Sun. Hurricane Obiano crushes Nwoye, Obaze, 36 others to win Anambra governorship election. Trust Sun to be very dramatic. Ikoyi recovery. Don't pay yet. Whistleblowers beg at Adeosun. Gunmen kill Akwa Ibom commissioner's sister. 2 others. Why I didn't implement 2014 Confab report, says Jonathan. All right, so Hurricane Obiano took over 21.
Congratulations to Governor.
Impressive that really free and fair.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Violence.
The entire process.
elections since 2015
Okay.
that was not inconclusive. INEC.
Hold on to them.
Okay. INEC, congratulations for finally getting it right now. At least under the new leadership. They've
No, it's
gotten
still
it
too
right.
early. Oh. By
Now-
Wednesday, you start seeing some
No, I love
dramas.
the fact that they made sure that the people of Anambra took ownership of the elections. Stay. Count your votes.
Right.
Don't go home and say something happened.
Right.
Stay, and people stayed. People owned the process, and they re-elected their governor. We only hope that he will continue to consolidate.
Amen.
The most
the
important thing
works
is
that
that
are done
I
and-
think we can actually refer to this as a president as a very free and fair.
Exactly.
People, the voice of the people obviously spoke
Yes.
pretty loud here, regardless of the national strength or the fact that the APC was
The
pretty
national
strong.
But
party.
the PDP candidate Obaze still has, he has his reservations about
him
it,
go to court.
saying that. I agree.
Yeah, that's it.
Two things immediately. There were many allegations of all the strong political parties paying people to vote, and there was also voter apathy. So as much as the iPod threat, they didn't carry it out. A few people stayed out, which was why the ones who came out
Yes.
they were able to give those ones money
Okay.
to bribe. We need to move from that kind of election.
At least we can
But
celebrate
this
that.
is a good step.
Thank you. All right, then our former president had said that why he didn't say that he didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
And he's advising that our current president should implement
Yeah.
the confab report.
I want
Yeah.
to quickly mention the Ikoyi Gate, though, because there's
Oh,
a
yeah, go ahead,
controversy
quickly.
around it. And the statement is that there's a stay
I think we should
in
have taken
court.
it to the Tribune.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Tribune,
Go
okay,
ahead, go ahead.
the Tribune, Anambra, Obiano re-elected, clears all 21 local governments in landslide. Ikoyi Gate, don't pay yet, original whistleblowers rights, FG. Ex-PDP national chairman's son allegedly stabbed to death by his wife, we talked about that. Why Buhari should complement 2014 confab report, says Jonathan. Pretty much all the stories we talked about. So Ikoyi Gate.
The last week was supposed to witness the beginning of the process of payments. Of the allegations now going on is that there's not one person, there are three people. Based on the information in the Sun, 3 people walked in December 2016
Right.
to EFCC office and took
Three
responsibility that we know where money is in Ikoyi, and if the money isn't found there, prosecute us.
Right.
So why is it being that money is now they are planning to pay money to one person as opposed to the 3 of them? So that's the allegation, the legal issue. So it's in court right now to prove that the money should not be paid yet until they resolve who are the people that should get the money. This always happens. As in, this always happens.
Funny policy.
More than 3 people are actually laying claims to the money.
Actually, initially it was 9.
Nine.
But
Yeah.
now
Yes.
with
These 3
it
are
was-
not disputing that they worked in together,
Yeah.
that they are friends. So.
Okay, moving on to our last paper. This headline is Governor Obiano's clear victory thrills opposition. 17 states failed to access 16.2 billion naira UBEC fund in 2017. Rushing quickly now to this day. APGA's victory maintains national balance of power ahead of 2019. Making Nigeria proud. That's a picture of Florence DJ Copy, the New York University professor, receiving the New York University 2017 Artistic Achievement Award in New York City. Glow, Airtel, Dangote, 7 others advanced to final stage in 9 mobile bid. All right, that's all we can take on front page review. When we come back, we're discussing, have you had issues concerning the budget, economic policy, monetary policy, how we can actually move from poverty to prosperity? Well, our next guest is a professor who's going to help us break it down, start to finish, so you can have a better understanding of where we are in our economy and how we can get to where we want to be. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, revealed the strategies the federal government plans to adopt in funding the 2018 budget. He said the government realized that inadequate revenue was the greatest challenge it was facing in its effort to deliver service to the people. And the government's focus is to maximize the use of revenues from the oil sector and spend in the non-oil sector, since the oil was wasting assets. Now, we have with us a professor, Professor Kingsley Mohalu. He's the former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria from 2009 to 2014. For the past 3 years, he has been the distinguished professor of practice in international business and public policy at the Tufts University in Boston, Massachusetts. And he has now returned home as the founder of a new think tank, the Institute for Governance and Economic Transformation. Join us. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Kingsley. Professor Kingsley Moghalu. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being on the show, sir. Now, one of our objectives for bringing you on the show, because we wanted people out there to understand the hear of budget, the hear of fiscal policy, the hear of monetary policy, CBN, the dollar is 309.35 to the dollar, tomorrow is 150. They are clueless on what this means to the average man. So we want you to help us start from the basics.
Yeah.
What are the difference between the fiscal policy we have and our monetary policy, and how has the CBN, what's the effect the CBN has on all these policies?
Thank you. Actually, this is one of the reasons I returned home to set up the Institute for Governance and Economic Transformation after some time as a professor at Tufts University's Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy in Massachusetts. And that is to educate. The Institute intends to educate Nigerians on basic economics, basic concepts of governance, and that way Nigerians can become much more informed citizens that can engage the government on public policy. Now, to your question specifically, the difference between monetary and fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is about how the government generates and spends revenue. In a very basic sense, most of the revenues of any serious government must come from taxation. In Nigeria, that is not the case. The reason that is not the case, and we have a very low proportion of government revenue that comes from taxation, 6% only. The average is about 20% in most developing countries, at least 20%. And in developed countries, it goes to 40, 50% of their revenues coming from taxes. Now, the reason that is so is because of the curse of oil. When Nigeria discovered oil in the late 50s and 60s, from after the Civil War, the economy really became unbalanced. And everything about fiscal management became about how to share oil rents. And that is why you find commissioners of finance from the various states, they go to Abuja and they have this, allocation committee, FAC, and that is a distortion of economic management. So that's the first part on fiscal policy. Part of fiscal policy is also debt management, how to manage national debt. If the government borrows, how does it pay back? Does the government earn enough revenues to make it able to pay back what it borrows? And that is called debt sustainability. Now, coming to monetary policy. Monetary policy, which the Central Bank of Nigeria is responsible for, and the central bank anywhere in the world is responsible for, that deals with the money supply. The supply of money into the economy. Because the supply of money into the economy affects how money is spent and affects inflation. So this is one of the core responsibilities of monetary policy. That's the difference in a very basic way.
So we need the central bank to advise the Ministry of Finance whenever they're, proposing a budget. Now, in our 2018 budget, the exchange rate dollar to naira is 305 naira to a dollar, but in the real market is around 360, 365. Who advised who? And how sustainable is that for the 2018 budget?
Now, the matter of the exchange rate of the naira is a matter that is the responsibility exclusively, really, or mostly, of the central bank. Now, the official exchange rate is 305. The exchange rate on the street is about 360 or 365. So there is a gap, and that is, ideally, that is not good. Because that creates room for arbitrage. If anyone who can access the dollar at the rate of 305 can always round trip it to 365 on the market and make a handsome profit. So some of us have argued although I know that the central bank is trying very hard to see that there is a convergence between the official rate and the parallel market rate. But I think that it's a little bit artificial, the situation we have now, and it's not ideal. Let's just put it that way. It's important that we have one exchange rate and not multiple exchange rates. There are even different exchange rates for other activities that are neither 305 to the dollar nor 365 to the dollar.
Is there anything we could do as a country or, as a government to see that, that business, that range, that, that profit being made is covered? In the sense that we have a mono economy, we sell oil, we sell it in dollars, we have dollars in the CBN. But these dollars are scarce. We push out Naira.
Now, you see, what determines the value of any country's currency is how productive that economy is in a real sense. In Nigeria, again, there is a distortion. What determines the value of the Naira is how much foreign reserves we have.
Wow.
And how much foreign reserves we have is a function of the price of oil. So anytime the oil price goes down, our foreign reserves go low, and this puts pressure on the value of the Naira. And this is why having a mono-product economy is a disaster for Nigeria.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Tokwe, you had a question.
Going into the budget, because that is the main cause of discussion. We have a budget that is meant to consolidate the economy. Because this current budget is the one for recovery, and now we're going into consolidation. When 41% of a budget for consolidation is going into recurrent, it makes Nigerians wonder, what exactly are we doing? Being that you're a professor in economy, I want you to clarify to us, because I have the opinion that, and that shared by a lot of Nigerians, that for Nigeria to progress, we need to cut expenditure amongst the selected few in the political class and sacrifice from up downwards, as opposed to this immense pressure they want to bring on taxation.
And borrowing.
I think you're completely and fantastically correct. You should be the professor. The reality is that Nigeria's leadership has not summoned the political will to do what the citizens of Nigeria need to have done. And that is to move away from focusing a lot of Nigeria's budgets, up to 70%, between 70 and 90% of Nigeria's federal budgets have historically in recent years been spent on recurrent expenditure.
Very sad.
And that is paying salaries and just for political office holders and civil servants, and borrowing to sustain this situation. Now, one of the problems with spending, putting a lot of the budget into recurrent expenditure is that it also drives inflation.
Very true.
And when it drives inflation, when people are spending on unproductive enterprises instead of spending on capital projects, it forces the central bank to be able to jack up interest rates in order to decrease the money supply and control inflation. So when people sometimes ask, why is the interest rate high? This is partly the answer. Now, there are problems with the 2018 budget. You called it the budget of consolidation. Well, okay, that's a good intention. But part of the problem is that it keeps increasing. It's 8.6 trillion. And that's a 16% increase on last year's budget of about 7.4 or 7.4 trillion. Now, the budget is based on some assumptions. It is based on an assumption that the government revenues in 2018 will be about 6.6 trillion. These assumptions are unlikely to be met. The reason they are unlikely to be met is that the government says that out of 6.6 trillion, about 2.4 will come from oil. And about 4.1 will come from non-oil revenues.
Yes.
If we look at the track record, we find that these projections are often rosy. And what
Ambitious.
they project,
Ambitious.
very ambitious.
Yes.
They project that they will make so much money from non-oil revenue, but they don't realize it at the end of the day. Now, the deficit in this budget is 2 trillion. The deficit means the difference between what the government has or can earn and what it will have to spend. So that difference, they're going to have to borrow it. And that's they'll have to 2.1 trillion. And they're planning to go on to borrow about 1.7 trillion of it. So this just increases Nigeria's debt. And if they don't meet their projections, the deficit will increase. The PwC, professional services firm, has projected that they may have to increase the deficit. The deficit may increase up to 3 billion or 3 point something billion. So this increases the borrowing that is going on and might increase Nigeria's external total debt to about 21 trillion. Now, there are now concerns about how sustainable this whole thing is, considering that we're spending about 60% of everything we earn in Nigeria to pay in debt. This is not sustainable. And so I believe that the economic management of Nigeria needs a complete overhaul.
Okay.
I have called for it several times. And one of the things we have to do, you talked about spending on recurrent expenditure. So we need to reduce our recurrent expenditure massively, but that means some tough political decisions, which many times
Political will.
the political will is not there. But also, just to make the final point, but we also need to improve the efficiency of our tax collection.
That's exactly what I was going to go to.
Yeah, I have recommended that we follow the mobile phone, every mobile phone in Nigeria, to get more tax. But the problem is, of course, that people don't want to pay tax because
that's
they
the problem.
don't
You see,
trust
I was going to come to you because it's easy for us to say the government, but they are trying really hard to find other sources of revenue, aside from oil, and that's the taxation thing. But people aren't willing because it takes two for us, both the people
I'll pay
and
my
the government
tax and
to
they'll
say,
use it to cut grass.
God, we bless
But there are lots of
I will
other
pay
people
my tax and they'll
not
use it
paying
to fly
taxes.
abroad.
You're in the very, very tiny brackets paying. There are lots of other people paying. Yes,
Two things
sure.
to bring this to bring the taxation issue home. It is our income that is mono. Our GDP is diverse. Why don't we diversify the economy so we can earn from several sources?
They're already doing that.
Hold on, Mariah. They are not doing it properly. Our last two budgets were 30% efficient. That's failure now.
Based on the
So
price
if you're diversifying, we shouldn't be having that.
So going by Jumoke's comment right now, which is we are trying to diversify. Why is it so difficult?
Oh, you didn't let me ask my question.
Sorry,
You didn't let me ask my question, which is the issue of taxation. So someone like myself who pays tax, I started paying tax to Lagos State because I walked into their office to go and pay because I saw what the Lagos State government under Governor Fashola was doing. So if I see that you're allocating 115 billion naira to the National Assembly, why would I want to pay my tax? So there's an issue in the budget in that we see that the distribution of revenue is imbalanced. So two issues.
Absolutely, No, the government should be spending far more on social infrastructure like education and health.
God bless you, sir.
Education, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, of which Nigeria is a member, recommends that member states spend a minimum of about 26% on education. And the expenditure here on education is
7% for this budget.
Is less than 10%. So now, to come to your point, there is need to rebuild trust. But rebuilding trust means that we need a new type of political leadership in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Fantastic. The political leadership class in Nigeria has broadly failed Nigerian citizens. I think we can fairly say that. And what should be the solution? The solution is that Nigerian citizens need to exercise their power. And their power is the vote. They need to vote in the right type of leaders, political leaders who have the technocratic competence, who have the vision to reposition the economy. That's a judgment citizens have to make. But the point I'm trying to make is that diversifying the economy, which has been so difficult. Yes, the GDP comes from several sources. Agriculture about 33%, oil now just about 14%.
Entertainment.
But the point is this: where do we earn foreign currency from? It is still predominantly oil. 90% from oil, and that's why we say that the revenue base of the economy is not diversified. So this means that the government needs to move towards what's called economic complexity. That is, how do we manufacture complex products and export them and earn money? That it is not exporting yam tuber. No. It is not exporting cashew nuts. No. I'm sorry.
But we're not capturing those ones either.
Well, you know, but so that's not diverse.
Complex commodity. What do you mean by that?
A complex commodity is a commodity that has knowledge, value addition, insight into it. Different aggregates make up the product, and that's why it's complex. In fact, if you look at all the advanced countries of the world today, what are the raw materials they use to create television screens? They used to create the Samsung mobile phone. Most of them come from countries like Nigeria and other African countries. So they put them together. That's the complexity. Right. And then when they put these products together, they're very valuable. But to do that, you have to have what is called productive knowledge. Do you see the point? And that goes to how do you educate people?
Goes back to education.
Education. Yes, how do you educate people in a system? Right. We need to educate people more towards technical skills that enable them to have productive knowledge.
So, sir,
and this is how we can produce.
Japan concentrated for many years on not having business schools. They focused on everybody going through technical school. With our educational structure, people feel like maybe we don't have the right hands to move us from where we are to the next generation. We have 300 million Africans below 25 jobless.
Yes.
How do you think that we can harness this power, this 70% of our population that are largely underemployed or unemployed, to move us forward?
Very good question. First of all, there are two approaches to solve the unemployment problem.
Let me take a quick break
in Nigeria.
We'll take those two approaches when we come back.
Very important.
Right after this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to answer the question concerning unemployment, but I think Hadiza has been holding for a while. Hadiza, are you still there?
Yes.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
You compliment of the season.
Yes, so go ahead.
Good. I'm so happy to hear this, to listen to this topic today you are discussing. It's so educative and so entertaining.
Thank you very much, Hadiza.
Really, sir, people like you should not work privately. You should work with the government,
right,
so that this taxation issue should be corrected and should be enlightened to the people.
Thank you very much, Hadiza. Very good. Very good point.
Work with the government, not only.
All right. Very good point, Hadiza.
So answering to a question
concerning unemployment.
Well, first of all, unemployment, there are two solutions to unemployment in Nigeria. The first solution is that the educational system needs to be fundamentally reformed, because it is producing a pipeline into unemployment. The educational system needs to be skewed towards skills.
Skills acquisition.
Yes, vocational skills, engineering, technology, IT, plumbing, mechanics, those are the types of things. So most courses in our universities now are, they're theoretical. So we need to, first of all, restructure the education system. And there should be a two-track system of education in Nigeria, where when you come out of secondary school, you can go into vocational education or you can go into university, depending on what your skills are.
But we have those policies.
Well, that is part of the problem. But the policies are not holistic. No, the policies are not properly joined up, and then they are not executed effectively. The second response to unemployment in Nigeria is that the best way to create jobs in most economies is through entrepreneurship. Most jobs in most capitalist economies are created by businesses, small and medium enterprises especially. So, why is it difficult for people to start small-scale businesses in Nigeria? One of the problems they have is not having access to finance. So I have recommended the establishment of a public-private partnership venture capital fund of a minimum of 500 billion naira. That will be done in partnership between the government and the private sector, but the fund must be run by the private sector and must be run for profit. So if that happens, you will find that a lot of unemployed graduates may be able to access capital if they have good ideas to start small businesses. And this will generate a lot of jobs.
In reply to what you said, the thing is that we always want other people to solve our country's problem than, and that we have brains in this country. Recently,
that's from
Sanusi, the government utilized, they employed the services of certain consultants on economy
from Malaysia.
What is your take on that, especially considering the fact that, the solutions you just gave are within our shores?
Yeah. Now, I don't have a problem with consultants from Malaysia. Knowledge is valuable, and wherever you can get it, it's helpful. However, there is a problem of attitude. Clearly, this knowledge exists in Nigeria with Nigerians, but the government is not looking to Nigerians, within Nigerians, to solve these problems. And I think that's a bit of a problem. The government of Nigeria does not recognize its own people. And that's a political leadership failure. Yes.
Sir, the solutions that you're talking about, education is the bedrock of it. And our president identified that we need 4.6 trillion to change the educational system. But we have a problem with our budgeting where they are still using 65 million for wildlife. They're using 1 billion for only Aso Rock. They're using 1.3 billion for president and vice president to travel. How do we solve this problem that they say that they have inherited?
The solution is a political solution. And it's a citizen solution. The citizens who are not happy, if they are not happy with the standard of governance, they should bring in people who will give them a higher standard of governance. Fantastic. If they fail to do so, the citizens themselves are as incompetent as the government they say they're not happy with.
Because, you see, I think that's what I've gotten from this conversation. Because it seems as though that the people the people handling our economy seem to have a good intention.
Yes, but the
they have an idea of what they want to do. But the political will to do it isn't there. That's why our recurrence is still high.
God bless
and also the people also haven't understand the power they have to ensure that the political class have the right, that they are the right people.
Let me actually say that you've just made a very good point, because one of the experiences I had in Nigeria serving in government is to find out that people, technocrats who manage the economy, a lot of times have the competence and have the good intentions. But the political leaders on top have very different priorities. And they are the ogas at the top. So what's the solution? The solution is that the citizens have to place the technocrats inside political power. Because it is only when the people who have political power have the same type of vision that you can have change. If the political leadership has a very different agenda, or the political class have different habits, different tendencies, different agendas from the technocrats will always be frustrated. Their good intentions will not come or will not bear fruit for the citizens of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Prof.
You're very welcome.
I have a lot of questions, though. Prof,
we have to bring you back.
To come back.
We'll try to book you, because the truth is that people need this information. They need to understand the power they have to change the political class.
Absolutely.
So once you understand that power, they know what to do in 2019.
That's the point.
I think that's the point. Thank you so much, sir, for being on our show.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
so.
you.
The promo is on. Are you eloquent, attractive, confident, opinionated? Please, we've seen lots of videos on the hashtag YourView auditions. Thank you very much for those who have uploaded the videos. We're looking forward to December 1st, when we now put everything together and now pick our final 30. Then with auditions, the interviews start. Thank you so much for participating, and please keep uploading and keep liking. The ones you like, go there and like. Let us know the ones you like so that we can then invite them. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.